In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know about Cypher, how to play him, what his abilities are like, how to best use them, and how to perform in-game with him. I'll be covering his playstyle too, so be sure to stick around for all of that and more. If this guide does help you out, please consider supporting me on Patreon because it really does help a ton, and it allows me to make more of these videos possible with doing it full time. With that out of the way, let's get into the Cypher guide, and I'm going to be teaching you all about his playstyle right now. Cypher's main role on the team is going to be a sentinel, and what this essentially does mean is that he is going to be holding down the site with a variety of different mechanics that he does have to offer. Now, a sentinel is described as someone who can lock down an area and cover flanks, which pretty much means they can hold down a site extremely well and cover your back. Your main playstyle as Cypher is to essentially make use of your abilities to lock down an area, help your team onto site, and cover their back too. The best way to describe it for me is you want to be dabbling between the fine line of allowing your team to get into site by making it easier for them, opening it up, providing them with more intel, and then when you're on the site or you're simply defending, you have to lock it down and cover the team's back. You're basically like that one person who whenever they go out provide everything from hand sanitizer to wipes. No matter what it is, you have got that situation covered. That is how I would describe Cypher's role. And the way you'll do that is by playing off your abilities to gain more intel from the camera, cover flanks with the camera, and lock down the site once you have it, or make your team's job easier to get onto the actual site. It's very important as Cypher not to be too aggressive. You want to leave that to the entry fraggers, of course. You can still be aggressive in short bursts and control it, but the main thing here is keeping your abilities alive and making the most use of them, because that is extremely valuable to you and your team. As a Cypher player yourself and not thinking about the team, I'd highly recommend playing off your abilities to help you pick up more kills and aid the team too. If you really are going to be making use of the abilities correctly, gaining intel and playing off it yourself and focusing your main playstyle around that, you're really going to be having a lot of fun here. I will personally say that Cypher is going to work best when he is with the team. If he is going to be lurking, his abilities don't really suit that because he isn't really a stealthy character with his abilities. The second you put down the camera, it's going to make a noise and reveal your position. And we will move on to his abilities very soon, by the way. However, on the other hand, if you're going to be playing with your team, you can use the tripwires to cover flanks. You really are going to be a team player here, and working with a team or a teammate is going to be the ideal situation. You're not someone who should control an area such as mid. Now that is simply just basing it off lurking. If you're going to be lurking in mid, I wouldn't recommend it because, like I said, he isn't the most stealthiest. However, if your team simply wants to lock down mid and they let you go ahead while they push a different site, this is a fantastic idea. Cypher can use his ability to lock down like an area like mid, provide lots of intel, and cover the flank. That's an area of how to do it too. As long as you're really playing off your abilities, you'll be fine for the most part, which is what we're going to move on to now, Cypher's abilities and how to use them correctly. For Cypher's abilities, his first one is going to be his trapwire. Now the trapwire, you have two of these, you are able to place them down on the ground. The main thing that you'll do with them is place them on the different walls and the different areas to essentially put down a trapwire, or pretty much a booby trap if you've ever seen one of them. This trapwire is essentially when a player goes over it, they are going to make a noise from it. It's going to alert you at Cypher, you're going to hear the noise from it, and it's also going to stop them in their tracks, and it will go off after around about 3 to 5 seconds. When this does go off, it makes them concussed, and it's very hard for them to move forward. The main counter to it is that the defender or the attacker who has been hit by it can then shoot out the trapwire. You still gain the intel from it going off and knowing where that trapwire is located. You just won't concuss them if they shoot it out beforehand. The main purposes of this ability specifically is to cover a flank and gain intel from a position where someone might be pushing from. If you want to lock down an area so you're not getting flanked from behind or in front or whatever it is, you can use a tripwire to cover your back and make sure it's there. Your main purpose with it is to do that simply. And the other purpose is to slow the enemy down. Obviously, when they get hit by it, they're confused for a second, and then they have to actually take it out, which takes another few seconds. Therefore, you can really slow them down and confuse them, and put them off pushing forward in case there's any more trap. Intel is definitely a big part of Cypher's role here, so focus on that for a lot of his abilities, including this one, but as well, delaying the enemy team, slowing them down, really is a crucial part of Valorant, giving you that extra time, and time is on your side. The next ability is Cypher's Cyber Cage, and this will last for a total of 7 seconds. What you can do with this is you'll deploy down a little circle thing, and when you activate it, it will actually release an entire cage around you. It is like a magnetic electronic cage that really blocks vision and makes it hard for the enemy to get through. If an enemy does go through that Cypher cage, you will be able to hear a little noise too, which will activate it and allow you to know where they are. Main purpose with this one is to simply block the enemy's vision and allow you to go into sight a lot easier. or simply to cut off an enemy rotate so they don't go through it. It kind of works as a smoke, but it's a little bit different in some areas. The main purpose with it is to obviously allow you to get onto site easier by blocking their vision and allowing a clear path of entry for you, but also to block them off so they can't go through it, because if they do, they might get shot back from the other side. Because really, when going through a smoke, it's a very risky idea. For me, I definitely found this one was a very situational one that I had to use in places where it actually needed it. It wasn't all the time. The tripwires are very useful because there's always going to be a flank to cover right from the get-go. But these, you'll want to wait for the right moment and the right push, which doesn't always happen, so don't be too stressed out about it. On the flip side, when you're looking for uses for it, you're mainly wanting to make your team's entry into site easier. It can act as a sage wall. Obviously, you can still get shot through it, but it can block vision. Or if you're simply in a really sticky situation yourself, you need to get out, pop it down, and you can get a free entry out of there. Or to simply confuse the enemy completely and kill someone who's going to go into it. And then the final use is obviously to block off an enemy rotate or a point of vision for the enemy to get through when you have site control. It will most definitely act as a smoke, and what you can do with this is make the enemy not want to push in, because if you do push in, they're going to get the sound cue that you're in the Cypher cage, and also when you go through to the other side, there's a very high chance you'll get shot, because of course when you're going through a smoke, it's like going through something blind. You won't be able to see what's on the other side until you actually get out, and by then it might just be too late. Next up, he has his spy cam, which is essentially a camera you can place down on anywhere. And what you'll be able to do with this camera is fire off a laser that, if it does hit a player and you aim it at a player, it will reveal their location and implant a tracking dot in them. What this does is it allows you to track their position, and it pings off every few seconds, and they can take it out afterwards. We'll gain a lot of intel from this. The camera is absolutely crucial on defense for holding down areas, gaining intel. It's really useful to play off. Next up, we have Cypher's ultimate ability. You are going to need 6 ultimate points to get this, and what it will do is you'll be able to use it on a dead player's body, and what you do with it then is it will reveal every single enemy's location on the minimap. This truly is a fantastic ability, because if you take someone out very early on from the early game, you can then use it and reveal all the other 4 players' locations. Will force them to move away from their current location, getting them out of a good position potentially, and allowing you to gain intel on where they last were, which puts you at the upper hand in several different ways. You want to act quick off the intel, make sure you use it when there are a lot of players actually alive. Using it on one player isn't always the best. In certain 1v1 situations it may be needed, but I'd highly recommend trying to get the most value out of it when you're going to be pushing onto site. It will make the enemies very scared, it'll push them out of their own good positions that they originally had, and gives you intel for the upper hand as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything you need to know about Cypher. I hope it's helped. Be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you did. Please consider supporting me on my Patreon. There's a link down below in the description. It allows me to make more of these guys to help you guys out. And I do stream on Twitch, link down below in the description, and click on the video on your screen right now if you want to see the top 5 crosshairs in Valorant.